So honestly, I absolutely love this episode, like with how the battle went down with Mundane Man and Iris. Like he used pretty much fear to cripple her or something. Like he pretty much used fear to win the battle. Ultimately, you'll see if you guys watch the episode. And towards the end, I mean, Mundane, the Shadow crosses swords with the war goddess Beatrix, and all of that was very exciting. I think it was a pretty well done episode, very exciting. Like I keep on repeating myself because it was very awesome and cool. But I do have some things that I wrote down that I do want to bring up talking about this episode. And the first one was that the Lord Perv knew that Rose was possessed, and I feel like this kind of officially connects Lord that he's working with the cult, because he said, Rose might have been, a good experiment for the cult because she was possessed, and that to further give you examples of what I mean is that we saw members of the cult group they were disguised as pretty much the king's bodyguards, and then we saw him use him and kind of ingesting or injecting the king with the drug. And I do highly suspect that that drug was provided by the cult as a tactic on basically making your puppet. So obviously that really nails in the fact that him and the cult are connected. But the second scene I want to talk about was when the Lord walked by Beatrix and Beatrix said, "Oh, you stink." Later, it was when he was told that this was actually Beatrix, the war goddess. He also, we heard it in her monologue saying that she's, the only one who awakened the hero's blood within her. So it makes me believe that 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 probably Dollar Perv has been working with the cult long before, and that's why he probably knows the hero's blood and how it's awakened inside her. That probably, he probably did experiments on her very early age, and I don't know, she probably escaped. We don't know exactly how she got out, but I'm guessing she escaped before they could do further experiments on her. But I just want to throw that in. And since she's also related to Alpha, I'm guessing that even though Alpha's her sister's daughter, I do think that there is, a quarter, like 25% of the hero's blood in Alpha, and she hasn't awakened that yet, or maybe she has. We don't know. Hopefully, they dive into that more and more as we get into possibly season 2. But let's see, the other scene I do want to bring up is the scene where His Majesty accepted death. So right before Rose kind of killed her father did come up and say, I forgive all your sins. And to this, the Lord was very surprised because he wasn't supposed to say anything that he didn't instruct him to. So the king basically said, "I forgive your sins" by himself, signifying that I think that either he probably knew that this was the only way to ultimately get the cult or to expose the cult, and he probably figured that this was the only way, so he probably out of pure will, like mustered the inner strength to overcome this drug inducing whatever injection he got, and uttered those words, like those last words, that I forgive your sins, I love you. And I felt like that was mostly inner strength, that he was like, fighting off the drug's effect before he got killed by his own daughter. Now, I do want to move to the other point I wrote down, was that Lord Perv and Rose escaped. So, as Shadow and Beatrix are, crossing swords, we see Rose escape, and then we also see Lord Perv escape too. And I wonder, where he's gonna head now that, that Shadow Garden is even there. So I wonder if it's gonna escape. Like, where's it gonna escape to? Because if Shadow's Garden is dead, there, that it's game over for you. Is probably, dead. Even if he tries to escape, Shadow Garden will probably, try to catch him or whatever. The last two scenes I want to mention before I end this video is, one, Shadow and Beatrix cross sword. Obviously, like I said before, they cross sword before the whole episode ends, and obviously we'll see next episode what really happens between him, Shadow, and Beatrix. Like, obviously Shadow will probably win, but how will it go and how will it end? Like, will Beatrix be able to, escape after she realizes that she's at a heavy disadvantage against Shadow? Like, how will that turn out? Overall, pretty good episode, I'd say. Like I kept on repeating, it was very exciting to see Iris versus Mundane Man, and then now we get to see, for the final episode, we get to see Shadow versus the War Goddess, basically. And before I wrap up this video, I do want to include this last scene or talk about it. So we got a brief scene of how Rose got to know Shadow pretty much, and she was, as a little girl, she was, captured by these bandits, and Shadow, in the moonlight, he came and not rescued her, but kind of, as their kids, he slayed the bandits, and he pretty much saved Rose, and Rose always remembered that from childhood. So that's how Rose got to know Shadow, or the bandit slayer, the stylish bandit slayer, she says. But what I want to focus on was that was a little theory I have, was that the cult probably gave orders to these bandits to capture all these possessed little kids so they can do experiment on this. Like I said, it's very possible that this actually happened, but since we didn't get confirmation about it, this is only a theory. But I theorize that the cult probably ordered these bandits to capture these people, these possessed little children, and bring them to the cult pretty much. And the cult from there will do experiments on them. So it's not that the bandits were part of the cult of Diablos, but they were kind of given, they were already bandits before they were given the order, like they would steal money and everything, and I guess they just got an order to, you have to capture these kids, and they probably saw it as only, extra money, I'm guessing. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this episode, and it really gets me excited for next episode and see what's gonna happen. But for now, I think I'm just gonna end it there. Please leave a like, subscribe, and thank you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.